Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today I'm going to be reviewing the film titled Peter Pan from my Disney movie marathon. Quick reminder that this is supposed to be part of this series of films, I suppose. And yeah, I guess you can say they were trying to have like an expanded universe right here. And they kind of did it in a rather sloppy way to some degree. I do wish that they could have mapped things out a lot better than what was done here, I suppose, because there was so much potential with these series of films. So, well, anyhow. And yes, of course, as usual, I have to talk about the plot of this particular movie. So let's dive right in, shall we? This film takes place in London, 1900. We see these characters, George and Mary's. They are preparing to attend this party. They are disrupted by the antics of the boys, of course, acting out about a story about Peter Pan and the particular pirates, told to them by their older sister, Wendy. And yes, of course, Wendy will play an important part of the overall plot. Their father, whom is fed up with these kinds of wild, imaginative stories, had made his children less practical and angrily declared that Wendy herself has gotten way too old to continue staying in the nursery with them. And of course, on that very night, these characters they are visited in the nursery place by Peter Pan himself, who teaching them pretty much to fly with the help of his pixie friend Tinkerbell, and takes them to this particular place, to the island of Neverland. So yeah, of course, this will play an important role of the plot. The theme here is they want to stay youthful forever. Yes, of course, we get to see the actual pirates in this movie that were mentioned a moment ago. And of course, they are being ordered around by Captain Hook. Yeah, Captain Hook's pretty much the villain of the story, of course. And yeah, we're good to see these kind of thing going on. And yeah, like every other Disney film, they have a villain. This film is pretty good, folks. I would say check out Peter Pan, the 1953 version. Yeah, this was definitely one of the more well-known Disney animated flicks. It's hand-drawn, and I really like the detail in which it was given throughout the entire film. The background animation and the animation overall was really well done, top notch. And I really like that, folks. Even the character designs were really good as well, folks. The character designs were pretty good, and I like the artwork. The overall artwork, it was extremely detailed. Yeah, even for a film that came out way back then, the artwork is really good. It does look a lot better than a lot of the animated films I've seen over the years, folks. I'll tell you that. Such as the animated film that Rob Zombie did. Oh boy, that was just flat out awful. I know that was meant for adults, but it still came out really bad. I know some people get mad at me just for saying that, but whatever, I guess. I can say what I want. Come on now. I'm just being brutally honest here. It's not me being biased or anything. I've seen the movie, and it's just bad. But, folks, I'll say check this movie out. I know it's for the entire family, but still, folks, I'll say check it out anyway. It's not that bad of a movie, really. I know a lot of kids nowadays may not check it out because it's old, but it's pretty good, folks. Oh, yeah. The thing I would definitely say is that, folks, that Tinkerbell, at least in this version anyway, yeah, she comes off a bit crazy if you ask me. I know the idea here is that she's supposed to be jealous of the fact that she may be replaced by Wendy, but yeah, she does come off a bit of a psychopath if you ask me. Because there was quite a few times where she had actually attempted to kill off Wendy, and she was actually happy about that. Yeah, somebody has a few loose screws here. I mean, I do like the character of Tinkerbell, I'm just saying. So, I don't know, that just came off rather odd to me. I know that wasn't exactly their intention, really, but still, folks. And it's based upon, well, at least loosely based upon a book with the characters of Peter Pan. I'm just gonna review this movie as a movie because that's what it is, a movie. So I do own the book that this movie is based on, which I plan to read later on anyway. So altogether, folks, this was a well-crafted movie as a whole. And yes, it's quite old, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie. And it's sad to say that a lot of kids nowadays won't watch this movie just based on the fact that it's old, like I mentioned a few moments ago. But folks, I did like a lot of scenes, like this one for example, the mermaids. I know this was a controversial sequence with a lot of these parents because, yeah, it implies nudity. I mean, there's no one actually naked really, folks, but it did imply it. I guess you can say, folks. There's nothing explicit really, so it's fine. I mean, it doesn't have to be sexual, folks. Showing a character naked doesn't necessarily mean he has to be in a sexual context. It's not very surprising, folks. The direct-to-video animated film series was under attack just because Tinkerbell bared some skin here and there, which is pretty stupid. Nobody said anything about this character in this family movie, folks. Yeah, for some reason, this was just totally ignored, and I don't get it. How is it that this film gets ignored, but then the direct-to-video animated series of the Tinkerbell films get a lot of heat? I really don't get it. And again, this ain't North Korea. Last time I checked, it's not like that, folks. So big deal. If the characters were drawn like that, so what? It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual here, folks. Plenty of people out there that will go to certain areas, folks, and just be all unclothed because they believe that it's part of nature, folks. So again, yeah. Anyway, folks, like I was saying before, the character designs were really detailed, and I like that. It was really taken care of, folks. And while this film was not my favorite Disney film, it's far from it, but it is a really well put together film as a whole. It has a good story with likable characters, and of course, giving the characters their own personality. Not every single character is a cardboard copy of each other, so that's a good thing there, folks. And I did like the way the action sequences were animated. They were really fluid. The entire animation department really placed a lot of effort in the characters' movements, their facial expressions, and whatnot. So all of which were really nicely done as a whole, folks. So I did like that. So of course I did appreciate the fact that a lot of effort was placed into this. Just because it's an animated movie doesn't mean it's bad. Alice in Wonderland is probably a film I enjoyed a lot more than this, but like I said before, folks, I still recommend it anyway because it's a good film as a whole. And just because it's a family movie doesn't mean it's bad, folks, like I said just a moment ago. And I would say that this film does get a high recommendation. And for me, because it was all well placed together with the storyline, and of course it does have a sense of adventure. I mean, it's a Disney movie, of course it's going to have this grand sense of adventure, of course. And it does have this charming quality to it, of course. And I did like that. I know they don't make movies like they used to, folks, but fortunately this is considered as a classic, and people would remember this for years and years. And that's a good thing right there, folks. I would say that it does deserve its place in history, at least in regards of animation anyway. And Disney did place a lot of effort as well, folks. He wanted this to be a good movie. In a lot of ways, it actually was. And Disney does succeed in actually creating unique characters for his own movies and whatnot. And I mean, yes, it's based upon a book, but that's fine. That doesn't mean that Walt Disney himself didn't put his own special spin on some things. And this is his version of these characters. I mean, granted, there's been multiple versions of these characters over the years with live action movies from different studios and whatnot. And there's been plenty of other studios that did their own version of Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and all that. But Disney's version had lasted throughout the years because of the fact that he did a really good job as a whole. And it will be remembered as a good movie and for the years to come. And yeah, he must have done something right, so that definitely counts for a good thing there, folks. And I did like this movie as a whole. This film is a really good film as well because in regards of story as well. And I did like the music. The music in this film really does help the motion picture as a whole. And another key component is, of course, the music. It's a motion picture that has sound, so sound is really important, folks. They really bring up these sound effects in this film. Of course, the music was good, but these sound effects was really, really good, folks. When they're walking, or they're clapping, or whatnot, or when they're flying around, little sound effects like that was placed in this film, folks. That kind of thing was really, really important. It might be little sound bits here and there, folks, and you may not notice it right away, but these sound bits is important to a motion picture, even if it's live action or animated. So what I'm saying here is that the sound design is really, really well put together as well, folks. And I like that. There's quite a bit of effort in that regard as well, folks. Oh yeah. Music did play a major role in the film, of course, folks, and I did like what they were going with it. So this movie does have great music, and it does help, of course. And the scenery, I really did like the scenery, folks, that was made in this film. The scenery really gave a sense of place in the film, which of course is a good thing. Since this is an adventure movie, especially in adventure movies, you do need to give a sense of place, of course, and it was really, really nicely done as a whole. So the sense of adventure is there, and the sense of scenery and place is also well constructed as well, folks. Yeah, they went to different areas and whatnot, but it did make it seem like a good time, of course. Yeah, of course it gets really crazy in its own little way, I suppose, folks. And I did like how Peter Pan had a certain personality of his. Yeah, he had it, comes off like he was definitely a young boy at heart. And I did like how this was done, folks. He has a good personality, and so did everyone else. The dialogue was well written. I really did like the dialogue that was written for this particular movie. And also, I would say the voice acting from the actors and actresses were also really well done as a whole as well, folks. I really like how they were. Voice acting was top notch, folks, in here. The voice acting was really, really good. So I'll give it credit for that. So nothing against that, folks. Oh yeah, definitely. And I did like how the Walt Disney himself, when he was alive, really attempted to give his own charm, of course, folks. Of course, he has his own unique hand at this. And, of course, he does have a unique branding. And, of course, every good animator needs his own branding, of course. And I did like the shadows in the background. It really gave off like it was really there. So, all in all, very detailed overall as a whole, folks. And I did like the way that this film is constructed. I might actually read the book because of this movie, folks. I'm not expecting the book to be exactly like Disney's version, of course. But that's fine by me because I'm not expecting it to be 100% faithful to the source material. And that's the thing, folks. This is an animated film. Yeah, it doesn't have to be 100% exactly like the source material. Otherwise, it's going to be rather boring, of course. It would become too predictable. And I mean, don't get me wrong, folks. What I'm saying here is that, well, I don't make it too different. Of course, if you made it too different, it would just come off a little awkward, I guess, because it would become something else if they made it too different, I suppose. But I guess just go 50-50 on this. I guess in books, graphic novels, video games, that's the thing, folks. Don't make it 100% the faithful. What you're doing here is adapting the concept of the story into a different medium. And if it's done well, then it's really done well. You don't have to put every single mundane detail on the screen, folks. And that's the thing. Yeah, I know in a lot of ways it's difficult to adapt comic books or novels or what have you at times, but if it's done well, it really shows, folks. And that's what Disney did here. It's really well composed as a whole, and he really did attempt to make a good family movie in a particular way, folks. It's not a bad movie at all. And I would say that it's something I wouldn't mind watching again, folks. I definitely want to buy the special edition of this movie. Yeah, there's a special edition for this particular movie that's out on Blu-ray, which I will get one of these days, of course. And I will review that version later on, I suppose, for my next Disney movie marathon. whenever we have the chance, of course. The film is very creative and very charming in its own little way, folks. I do like the sense of adventure here. And one thing I never understood is that why do a lot of people out there seem to dismiss this movie quite a bit, even the older Disney fans. Yeah, there's quite a bit of them who really hated this movie. I don't get it. It's nowhere nearly that bad, really, folks, as a whole. Yeah, I did find this film to be really enjoyable. I mean, Peter Pan is one of Disney's best movies, if you ask me, because of the fact that overall plot and the way it was constructed was really good. You know, it does have a pretty straightforward storytelling. The theme here, the idea for this particular movie, that is about a boy whom really didn't want to grow up, and it does focus on this crazy wild adventure, and is really high on atmosphere, a sense of adventure, and of course this entire movie has its own sense of style. Of course, a lot of the songs in here were really top notch, along with the voice acting, of course. And so yeah, I can say that check this out, folks. Just give this film a chance because it's not all that bad of a movie. A lot of people seem to be hating this movie, really, folks, for some odd reason. I really don't know why, but I never got that. So anyway, folks, but the characters are first rate, and actually be done in a particular matter is an important element of the story. The whole idea of staying youthful for all eternity and whatnot, folks, it's definitely going into some themes and whatnot. So it's some of those films, one of those Disney movies I really enjoy, which in some ways is surprising because of the fact that I really don't care for family movies, really. I still don't get as to why a lot of people seem to think that the character of Peter Pan is really mean. They do complain that he's really mean-spirited in this movie, folks. I mean, yeah, okay, he's very cocky, and that's the thing, folks. People can get pretty cocky. Man, I can't really blame Peter Pan for getting a bit corny, a bit cocky here and there, especially considering the fact that he's able to fly. Oh boy. Tinkerbell is easily my favorite character from the original Peter Pan film, and yeah, she definitely has a personality. I can tell you that right now. Oh boy. There was even a part of the film where she didn't pay no mind if Wendy was gonna get drowned or not. So if she died, oh well. That crazy bitch out there again. Extremely temperamental, gets angry very easily. That's definitely Tinkerbell there, folks. Well, she's supposed to be a troublemaker in some ways anyway, so I guess it makes sense. And yeah, she's supposed to be this hot-headed fairy, and is supposed to be Peter Pan's closest friend. So yeah, that's the idea, is that she's supposed to be rather envious of the relationship formed between Wendy and Peter throughout the entire movie. Her jealousy at one point causes her to have Wendy nearly stoned to death, and eventually tell Captain Hook's Pan's hideout and tricked into thinking his intention is to capture Wendy, not Peter. So yeah, when she thought she realized what she has done, let's just say that she has some ideas for you folks. Obviously, I don't want to give away too much about the film, obviously, but that's the thing, folks. She may come off like a bit insane, and she does, especially in this movie. So yeah, she does come off like she's a psycho woman that's out to get somebody. Yeah, talk about having jealousy to the maximum right here, folks. And it's easily displayed in this movie, folks. It really, really is. Yes, the character did star in 6 films that were supposed to be all prequels to the Peter Pan film. So the character must have done something right over the years because she did get a following just on her alone, and that's it. So of course, you know, if that's gonna happen, he's gonna be a little, of course, arrogant in some ways. Can't really blame the guy. So I guess it can be when it comes to people criticizing Peter Pan for being Peter Pan. Maybe it has something to do with people being raised in a society that's based on rules on what is right and what is wrong, I suppose. Peter Pan comes from this place of Neverland, and where he's from does have a different set of rules, of course. And where he's from, he's never been taught what is wrong or what is being right. Well, it's from a different perspective anyway. So that's how he is. He has a different person at heart. And the villain character, like I mentioned earlier, is a character Hook. Yeah, the character Hook, on the other hand, he's definitely the bad guy. Hook has been raised in, I guess you could say, in Overworld, and he has his own sense of value, his own set of code and whatnot. He has been taught what is right and what is wrong, and pretty much knows very much that what he's doing is wrong. So he's the character Hook, the villain. He's fully aware of what he's doing is totally wrong, and it makes sense for the plot. So in regards to the story, it does make perfect sense of what he wants to do. Yes, this is a Disney film, folks, and yeah, it pretty much became a trademark for Walt Disney Films to have a villain and a hero in the animated movies.
It didn't really bother me at all that these mermaids were practically naked. And yeah, I'm not gonna be as uptight as some people out there. And we all know who we're talking about here. Oy. And besides, there are mermaids. They're not expected to be really conservative about some things. And everybody just plays it off like it's natural, like it's no big deal. Which is totally fine because it's not a big deal. Yeah, they got body parts. So what? Whoop-de-doo. It shouldn't be a biggie at all, folks. Some people actually thought that this sequence right here was racist. And seriously, why does everything come off racist to people nowadays? Give me a break here. Overly sensitive twat. Stop making a big fuss out of absolutely everything. The visuals thought this little scene right here was far, far too scary. Yes, they just want the movie to treat everybody like a bunch of babies, I suppose, which is dumb. The part where Wendy almost was, murdered. Monsters driven a lot of the kids into nightmares and such. Come on, give me a break. This just comes off funny in some ways. You start whining about something, those same people would tell you to grow up. If you start making your own movies, they demand your film to be strictly and only for children. What? What? What's going on here exactly? This clearly doesn't make any sense. It's quite obvious Captain Hook had a gun, which was a subject of complaining as well because, oh, that's implying violence. Oh no. Oh yeah, and the whole sequence where Pan was smoking something, that was also a form of complaining right there because they felt that, oh, it's encouraging bad habits or some shit. Crying out loud, people. Can't you just do something with your lives other than complain about this shit?
So I guess that would make sense. But anyway, folks, I'll say check this one out. Peter Pan, it gets an overall rating of a 7.8 out of 10. It gets a 7.8 out of 10 from me. As always, thanks for watching and take care. See you. Oh yeah.